All right. Let's work. Looks like oil on canvas. Well, sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes you do get lucky. All right, we're gonna work zoomed out here for a bit to address some big statements, handle the big shapes, the important things in a picture. Hello, Gabby. Hello, Silence. Hello, Doc. Nebula. So I'm going to make a conscious choice to not zoom in for a while. So I just get a lot of mileage out of the big and medium shapes that I'm creating. Yuck, evolved being, yuck. Hello, Dragoon. Hey, Vod. Hello, Deepak. Do I think they should have ended Dragon Ball's story a long time ago? I don't know. I haven't kept up with Dragon Ball. I only watched it as a kid, so I'm like 25 years behind. Is Dragon Ball's story still going? I didn't know that, actually. I thought they only did, like, spin-off movies about Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that. Where it's like, you thought you already knew all the kinds of Super Saiyans that they were. Well, I have a surprise for you. There's a secret, intermediate level of Super Saiyan between these two other levels. And it's the most powerful somehow. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's true. And I'm it. That's the plot of every Dragon Ball Z movie as far as I can tell. Do I not know Ultra Instinct Goku? No, I don't. I thought Goku's instincts were already pretty good. I mean, if you'd asked me before this, I would have said they were Ultra. I mean, he like always knew when like a punch was coming at his face, so... I've been practicing a lot of fundamentals and line work draftsmanship. I think it's burning me out though, although it is something I want to get better at. Any advice? I will give the advice that I give To everyone, you should be doing a 50-50 split of studying and being rawly creative. Do projects, do projects, do projects. Sorry everybody who's here for a chill vibe. I had strong coffee this morning, so I'm a little more energetic than usual. I caved and had strong coffee. I've been trying to wean off my heavy caffeine consumption over the last year or so. Even for a New Yorker, I drink a lot of coffee. And somehow I generally sleep like a baby. And that strong coffee does not keep me from sleeping. Thanks, Sarmad. Yeah, don't let the thoughtless online art world trick you into doing nothing but fundamentals. That's not a real thing. That is the fever dream of a bunch of disturbed individuals on a couple forums. That was never a thing up until like 15 years ago. You can get good at art without doing that weird grind. That grind was not a dream in anyone's head for most of art history. And guess what? Plenty of great artists without that. You must maintain your creativity. You must actually make pictures. You must be creative. People without a goal to direct all of their energy towards are wasting all of their time, even when hard at work. I know that may be hard to hear, but it's true. It's as true today as it was when Marcus Aurelius whispered it in his little camp tent. Hi M-Lord, hi Necroval, hi Ori, hi One. Have you seen the big boxing match? I do not watch boxing. I don't watch any kind of fighting, actually. I don't really watch any sports, any sporting. I'm really more of like a joust and melee to the death kind of a guy. And unfortunately, they suspended those. Those were my favorite sports, and now they're mostly illegal. Maybe I would like polo, but I've never tried watching it. Thanks for the like. How do I cultivate a professional mindset? You just need to be very clear on your goals. There's nothing more important than that. You need to know what you actually want and what you're headed towards. If you can tell yourself what that is, and I do mean like be able to write it down, then it will answer the question for you of what your professional mindset would be. There's no end all be all answer to what a proper professional mindset is, you know? It depends on your goals. Because with one set of goals, the professional mindset might require you need to be a blank slate who's willing and happy to do other people's ideas for them without question. And then for another set of goals, it might be more appropriate for you to basically do everything in your power to avoid being influenced by other people and to only execute on your own ideas and to stand by them bullishly. Depends on your goals. Neither is right or wrong. So start by getting clear on your goals, which is no easy task, I know, because it makes most artists want to throw up to have to do that. But it's definitely what separates the professionals from the amateurs. I'll try not to scream, Claudio. Super cool, Vishnu. Love to hear it. I'm glad to do some reorienting. No zooming in. Not yet. Zooming in is a very nasty digital art habit. It's just subconscious at a certain point to do it, but every now and then you gotta get serious and insist that you do not. Not everyone. I need it because it's a very bad habit of mine. What do you think about being able to draw with two hands? Do you think it can give any speed advantages traditionally? No. Are you saying that because you recently saw Karl Kopinski draw with two hands? Don't worry about that. Karl Kopinski is a performer. He's a famous online artist. I mean, it's useful for him because it makes him look more badass and cool, which he is, but it's not a practical drawing technique. It would only distract you and keep you from having good ideas. Anything that makes you focus on technique instead of your actual ideas is ultimately unhelpful. Will always ultimately amount to only being a distraction. Do you leave any Easter eggs in your paintings? Heard it's common practice to To hide stuff in concept art paintings, to hide Pepe? No, I don't. Well, no, that's not true. I sometimes put a self-portrait of myself in my paintings. You got to be careful with jokes like that because clients find them and they get pissed. I've seen that happen a few times. But in my own stuff, I like to sneak myself in there somewhere when I can. That's an old tradition that goes back a long time, since Michelangelo flayed himself in The Last Judgment at least. But it definitely goes beyond that. You're ambidextrous? Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine it would provide a benefit because what's difficult about art and drawing is not actually manual dexterity. It's creativity and the internal emotional war of art. When you're drawing and painting, you don't ever actually have to do anything more difficult than signing your name. Like your signature already requires much more, many tens of times more manual dexterity than anything that needs to be done in drawing or painting. So yeah, maybe you could maybe get famous for it if you find a way to make it useful or you turn it into performance art, but I can't imagine any benefit to drawing with both hands. If you turn it into performance art, there could probably be tremendous monetary benefit, but creative benefit I can't see. Good morning, Androtaz. Do you think you could beat Ahmed in a handstand contest? I doubt it. Considering that I can't do a handstand, I highly doubt it. I don't know if he can. I've never seen him do one, but he's a man of many secrets, so... If I remember correctly, I think our friend Ryan Pallet can just kind of like walk around on his hands. He's got some gymnast level abilities with handstands. I might be misremembering that, but I think I'm right there. Do I ever listen to guided meditations? Yeah, sometimes. Does listening to sutras, some of the like canonical sutras, count as a guided meditation? I've listened to the Diamond Sutra while meditating many times, and if that counts as a guided meditation in your mind, I think that might be my favorite. The Diamond Sutra is a hardcore non-dual dish, man. You listen to that for 5 minutes, you're gonna put yourself in a different headspace. You're gonna really open up to some pretty wild ideas. If you could study a week under another pro, who would it be and why? I don't know. I've had the luck of studying under a bunch of my art heroes. I don't know who I'd do now. I haven't thought about it. I did an independent study with Ryan Meinerding, the head of visual development at Marvel Studios, years and years ago. I learned a lot from him. He was probably like the biggest person that I was like, damn, let me learn from this person. These days, I don't know. I think if I did a study with another artist, I don't think I would pick a visual artist. I might pick a writer these days, actually. I think I'm more interested in this point at picking a writer's mind rather than another artist's mind. I don't really see anything in art anymore where I'm like, I don't know how to do that. And I'm not confused about any of my goals. Like all of my artistic goals, I feel like I know what I need to do to achieve them. Like I really don't feel confused anymore. So yeah, I don't know what artist I would study with to gain what skill or anything like that. I really don't feel confused about that stuff anymore. I know I don't have those skills, but I don't feel like I need to ask how to get them. Like any individual skill, the path is pretty straightforward. I've broken down and studied enough things and then added them to my repertoire that I just get how to do that. So yeah, I think I'd probably pick a writer now. That I'm much more confused about. You ever have a period where you didn't keep up with meditating and feeling anxious, guilty for not doing so? Yeah, I mean, I don't do sitting meditation all the time. A long time ago, I decided that it was perfectly fine. How to put it? Like, if I can bring that stuff into the drawing practice, then that's just meditation. Like, I don't see a division there, That probably comes from the non-dual interest, where it's like The non-dual schools are very focused on the idea that there is no real division between meditation and any other moment in life. So obviously, if that's the case, then the same goes for drawing. But yeah, I don't do sitting meditation all the time. And if it's making you feel guilty, I think you're inventing that problem for yourself, you know? You're not doing anything when you meditate, as far as I can tell. You're undoing. So what are you feeling guilty about? And yeah, honestly, if I was feeling guilty for not meditating, if it was causing me mental suffering, I feel like that would be a cue that I'm kind of missing the point. All right, I was answering chat and I was zooming in. Damn it. All right, I'm gonna just... If it gets too bad, I will undo the hotkey for Z to be zoom so that I can't do it instinctually. Steven, do you sometimes draw with charcoal? Sure. It's been a long time, but yeah, I have. It's a little dirty for my taste. And I don't mean like on the drawing. Like you can of course control it and get crisp drawings with charcoal once you're very good. I mean, it's literally dirty around my studio, and I don't have a big studio setup. And like I draw right in front of my computer and stuff like that. So it's just, yeah, I may make for nice drawings, but for quality of life, I can't stand everything being covered in that dust, especially not my screens and things like that. That's super annoying. So I don't really do it much. Graphite is pretty clean, all things considered. Happy to help, Evolved Being. Do you have an artist you would revive if you could? Probably Michelangelo, just for selfish reasons. He would probably be very upset. How do you make drawing practice feel like meditating? I feel like my whole YouTube channel is about that. Yeah, my answer to that is like 100 videos long, and it's the entire back catalog of my YouTube channel. So if you really want to investigate that, or my opinion on that, yeah, I would just watch all the old videos, especially the very old ones, especially the like first 40 on the channel are like very directly concerned with that particular question. They're actually just an exercise to do that. Those first 40-ish videos, those are specifically 10-minute exercises and invocations to arrive at something like that feeling. The videos are not really structured like that anymore. Do you ever have a meditation session where you felt a close to out-of-body experience and got scared and broke whatever you were experiencing off? I had it once as a child, and I read many have. Yeah, I mean, I've had all sorts of crazy experiences in meditation, and I think it's very common for anybody who meditates with regularity to have experiences like that. I just don't really, you know, I don't believe that's possible. So when I experience something like that, my tendency is instead to just be like, all right, here we go. Sure. That's just what's arising. Let's see, you know, let's leave the body. And it never happens. So that's all right. Yeah, but I think if you believe that that could actually happen, that your spirit might leave your body, I can totally see why you would pull it back. But as someone who has had experiences like that, and then just because I'm not really worried about it, I'm just like, sure, let's go. Let's experience the dream-like quality of having an experience like that. I can just say from personal experience, even if you lean into it, it doesn't happen, or at least it hasn't happened for me. So, but who knows? Maybe I just don't believe strong enough. I think a meditation practice really just makes a wider breadth of mental phenomena available and possible, but that doesn't mean that they are true or that they will really happen. But that's just my personal viewpoint. You are free to experience your meditation and your art practice however you wish. True, symbolic, metaphorical, literally true, symbolically true, whatever you want. What do you think of using substances to enhance that creative trance-like state? Like I just said, you should feel completely free to do your practice however you want. If you're asking if I personally do it, I don't. I feel like I get distracted if I'm under any substance influences while drawing. Generally, the substance influence becomes profoundly more interesting than whenever I'm drawing, so it keeps me from making anything. I prefer to draw sober. But yeah, as long as you're not hurting anybody else, I think everybody should be free to shepherd their consciousness through this existence in however way they see fit for themselves. Thank you and good night. Are you doing any fan art? Generally not. I've done it on the rare occasion, but it's not really my thing. I know my YouTube channel doesn't really make it clear, but I'm definitely more from the designer mindset and starting point. So fan art has never really tickled me with great regularity because I don't get to design anything. The fun in art for me is designing something from scratch. Yes, Paradise Lost definitely does count as fan art. You are right. In the strict sense of the word, it is definitely fan art. Just as most of art history was fan art of the Bible. Thanks, Vod. A question for you. I'm someone who is looking to get into digital art. Should I focus on traditional and fundamentals on paper long before I jump into digital? It really does depend on what you want to do in the long run, I think. If digital is your end goal, if it's really what you want to be doing for your final art, I think you should just start on it right away. Hi Steve, what are your thoughts on shadow work? I hear many people say there is great treasure in our dark side, but it's difficult to grasp that idea. I don't know basically anything about shadow work. I know about shadows in art, but shadow work, like the Jungian thing, I don't know anything about that. Was never much interest to me. I'm all shadow already. I needed light work. I needed to find the light, not spend more time with the shadow. The shadow was most of my personality. It is most of my personality. I would describe the general character of my internality as a sea of fire filled with demons rowling in blood, so... You regularly promote project-based learning, but what does that actually entail? I am confused about the meaning. For a beginner, you should illustrate a book or a story or anything that you are very, very familiar with. For an intermediate artist, you should genre bend something that you're already very familiar with. And I consider an advanced project something that you dream up completely on your own and you execute completely on your own. It doesn't have to be a book or story. So for the beginner type, it doesn't have to be a book that is already completely done and is excellent source material. It could be like, if you're a parent and you know your children very well and you want to do a project based on them, I would count that as like a similar sort of thing. It's just like you are very intimately familiar with the source material, and the source material needs no modification, is what I mean. And then intermediate is if the source material is definitely still source, definitely still excellent, and you're going to use it as the basis, but you need to modify it somehow. So for example, if you're going to, let's say you're going to do a project that is Game of Thrones in space instead. It's sci-fi Game of Thrones. So you still get to use all of the great ideas and the archetypes that are in Game of Thrones, but you're going to need to do some work to make it work in space, right? You're going to have to do some writing, some fixing, some smudging things around. That's an intermediate project. The source material is not ready to go off the bat. If you're interested in more information about this, consider taking my drawing workshop. This is like all we talk about in my drawing workshop. How to do projects and how they're structured. You can also do single pictures as projects, but you've really got to care about them for that to actually work. They've got to be big. You've got to be willing to make them as good as possible and do anything to achieve the final result. And they usually take a long time. You know, a picture that might take like a month to finish might be a project-worthy picture. Just one picture, but generally projects are multiple images. It's very hard to get an audience to care about one picture. Most projects require scope and require iteration on a concept. What about a bestiary of our own making with all kinds of wild and varied creatures? Because that's my jam. Yeah, that's a project. By my little system, I would label that an advanced project, but that is indeed a project. Also, I don't think that you should, like, I'm not labeling them advanced, beginner, and intermediate, saying, like, if you're a beginner, don't do an advanced project. Like, do whatever you want. You're supposed to feel like you can do whatever you want. I label them that way to give realistic expectations, because people tend to have very unrealistic expectations in the art world. If you're going to do an advanced project, I would generally not, if you think it's going to take less than a year, your expectations are probably unrealistic and they're going to hurt you. You can find info on my drawing workshops at the Gumroad link in the description of this stream. And the October one is currently running. It is sold out. It's also currently running, so even if it wasn't sold out, you could not join. But I'll probably do another one. And well, I'm not sure. I got to work around the holidays, so I won't make a claim right now. I haven't thought through yet when the next one will be because of the holiday season. Do you think Huion tablets are better to draw with than Wacom, or is it just personal preference? I think they're basically as good. I've only had one Huion, so I don't want to generalize about them, but I do think Wacom's build quality is slightly better, but I don't think it's worth the premium. I think the slight loss in build quality is perfectly made up for by Huion's lower, more reasonable price. Wacom's used to be worth the premium because there was really nothing that could compete. Like, every competitor was like embarrassingly worse, but now they've caught up. And unfortunately, Wacom has fallen behind. Their drivers, their updates, my God, the Cintiqs, just like the product quality has dropped severely from Wacom. I don't know what it would take for me to buy a Cintiq now. Just blurry, dark, dead pixels everywhere, smudgy, scratchy. It's like, just get an iPad. It is possible. No, well, it's a screen you draw on. It's gonna be darker. It's gonna get scratches. Nope. iPad Pro. Brightest screen in your house, best color gamut, crisp as hell, doesn't get scratches. You draw on it with a better pen than a Wacom pen. So, yeah, don't know what to say about Wacom anymore. And still, an iPad Pro, even though they're ridiculously expensive, it's an Apple product. An iPad Pro is like a third of the price of a Cintiq. Okay, I gotta chill. Cintiqs make me mad. I also don't like them anyway, so you shouldn't take my word for it. Do artists use iPads in a professional capacity? I draw all of my pro work on the iPad. I paint in Photoshop, but whenever I need to draw for a job, I always do it on the iPad. I don't draw in Photoshop for a job. Dogs, what are you growling about? Quiet. Yeah, you're 5 floors up. It can't get up here. Yeah, that's just a dog. I know you don't understand the idea of vertical spaces, but it's like 1,000 feet away from you. I wonder if I want to do this. Do you think the entrepreneurial side of art is over-idealized as a career choice? Only as much as the staff position full-time artist thing is over-idealized. An equal amount, I would say. People just tend not to be honest about how hard art careers are. They are incredibly hard. They are very, very hard to get, to maintain, to do. They're very, very hard. How do you mirror the screen from PC to your iPad then? Do you use Description app? No, I just draw on Procreate when I'm drawing on my iPad. I don't mirror anything. When I do like YouTube stuff and things like that, I'll draw in Photoshop with my regular graphics tablet with no screen, just because it's easier to record. I get a higher quality recording out of it. It's more flexible and things like that for recording. But if I'm not recording, if I'm doing something for a job, yeah, I would never draw in Photoshop. I always just draw on my iPad. I just can't get as nice a recording from that, so that's why you don't see me do it on anything that I do on the YouTube channel or publicly. The closest thing I can get if I want recordings of me drawing on the iPad is pointing my camera at my iPad and recording it like on my desk, but I just never quite been able to get comfortable doing that. You love this piece? Well, I'm very glad. Oh God, what did you hack up? You all right over there? Oh, hi, Benita. You're Ben's wife? That's awesome. Nice to meet you. A pleasure to make your acquaintance. Thanks for being around the channel. And thanks for being such a great support for our mutual friend and your husband, Ben. Do you ever use the iPad as if it were a screenless tablet for Photoshop by mirroring your PC screen? I've done that a couple times. It does work, but it just never stuck. There was no real benefits for me, but I've tried it. It does work. It's just, I don't know. I think I'm used to using Photoshop with the disconnect at this point. So yeah, it didn't stick. Oh boy, what's that little hand? That guy's got to get some variation going on him. There's some sad little noodles right there. Got to beef up those shapes. Hey yo, what's up, Steven? Nothing. Nothing much. Just living my life. Making drawings. Answering questions. Teaching classes. Walking dogs and mopping up dog pee. That's my whole life. Are you using references for the figures? Not most of them. I did for these two the other day. Oh wait, I have them here. It me! I just shot these in photo booth really quick. So nothing intense. But no, I don't have references for the rest of them. But I'm trying to plow through this because I need to just... I'm doing this because I need to send these off for a gig that's interested, and this piece was kind of on the nose for the thing I'm applying for. So I don't really have a lot of time. I just needed to do some work on it real fast. And those guys were just completely... There was nothing there. Not even really a sketch. In the original, they're just like... See, they're really rough blurs, so... I just took a quick pic of myself in photo booth. Can you buy your past classes on Gumroad? Not yet. Not yet. I'm recording the current workshop, so we'll see. Maybe this one you'll be able to buy. I did not record the previous one. Hey Nico, what's up? I'm doing great. Good to hear from you, bud. How goes the game, Nico? Thank you, Ada. I'm glad it's going well, dude. You don't have to get distracted by my silly drawings. You're doing the right thing, you know that. Project Base, make your game. You're one of my go-to examples now, Nico, by the way, for doing what you actually want to do. I bring you up all the time when I'm talking to students now and telling them that you might just need to not procrastinate your dream, and you might be procrastinating by wanting to put up this big roadblock of, oh, I need to get good at drawing first. I bring you up all the time to be like, I always say, my student Nico, he had a bit of that feeling in him. I told him, you know, maybe you don't need to do that. If you want to make a video game, you might just make your game and work on your drawings while you do that. And you did it. And you're one of the few people who actually did it. And now you've got a game. You've got a beta on Steam. You did a successful Kickstarter. Way to go, Nico. You're an inspiration to us all. How would you break down the beginner, intermediate, and advanced projects in terms of time it takes to finish said project? So an advanced project could take anywhere from many, many months, multiple years, to the heat death of the universe, right? It really just depends how you want to do it. And I know that can sound silly, but it's like a lot of your favorite things in the world are advanced projects. So if you have any dream of doing stuff like that, you have to take the way those things get made seriously. You know, they can take as long as you need. An intermediate, you know, it can really depend. I think probably the beginner one is the one that could use the most realistic expectations. For example, when I've taught production design at Art Center College of Design, these are students who are not new to drawing. They got into the school, so they have drawing chops, and we put them into teams, so they're not working alone. We tell them what books they can illustrate. We pick the stories. They can only pick one. They can only pick from like 5, and all of the stories you can read them in under 4 hours. So they're short stories. So a 4-hour-ish read short story. A team of artists who have some chops working on it. They can barely design everything in that story in 14 weeks while getting good input and feedback every week. So that's what realistic expectations for something like concept design actually looks like. And most of those teams, you know, even by like 12 weeks into that, they're crunching, they're freaking out, and most of them need to cut something. They need to put their heads together and decide what from that short story is not going to get to be designed. They're just not going to make it. That's what realistic expectations looks like for a beginner project. But that said, in that realistic time frame, you can do excellent work. They regularly achieve professional level work. But yeah, anything less than that, you are probably kidding yourself. You're just setting yourself up for failure. And again, reminder, that's source material is good to go. Readjust some of these shadow shapes here, they're bothering me. Steven, I'm in my 4th year BFA for sculpture, but sadly we have had 2 years lockdown from COVID. I'm very fed up with online class. How can I continue work for myself? I sympathize. I know that most online learning is not good online learning, and especially the institutions that used to be online and weren't designed for that and their heart isn't in it. It's just not good. I know a lot of people going through that right now, so I know it's rough. My heart goes out to you. How can you continue work on yourself? Like how to get better on your own? There's an infinity of ways to do that. The real trick there is to get clear on your goals, to try to solidify your goals as much as you can. Well, since you're Ben's wife, Ben was in my workshop. You can ask him to show you the slide deck from week 1 of the drawing workshop, and that'll explain some of my ideas on solidifying opinions and that being a gateway to self-teaching. That really trims things down. I really do think all of it is like just getting super clear on what you actually want out of your career and what you want out of your art. That can be really hard, right? It's not easy. It requires effort, and it can be a process that takes months, if not years. But to begin that process for yourself and to write that stuff down, I really do think once you get clear on that stuff, like if you can reach a point where you can write it on a piece of paper, it answers the questions for you. It just makes it clear what you need to do to progress on your own. As to how to, once you have that and there's something on that list that is like a particular skill, like better anatomy, better gesture, whatever the particular skills on that list are, what I always recommend is just you do volume, right? You practice that thing a lot, but most importantly, you pick some touchstone artists that you're like, that's what as far as I can tell, that's a good version of that skill. And whenever you practice, when you're done, you put what you did into Photoshop and you put it right next to the artwork of that artist. You don't look at it side by side. You don't just have it in mind. You physically, literally put them right next to each other. And you say, what makes theirs different from mine? And then you fix it. You try to fix it. It almost sounds too simple to be true, but it's simple to conceive, but it's not easy to execute. And that's the trick. I'm good. It's I Watitsi. I tried. What are you snuffling about, dog? What are you snuffling about, dog? Ain't nothing to snuffle about around here. You're snuffling in the wrong place if you're trying to come around here snuffling. Go on, get ye out of here, you scurvy dog. I don't know why, but I feel always rushed when I draw. That's fear. That's the hounds of self-doubt nipping at your heels. Who are these apparitions? What is their nature? Do they have substance? Are they real in any robust sense? From whence do they come and where do they go? Will you let them dominate you? Is your will your own? How long will you sleep? How long will your soul slumber? Awake, arise, or be forever fallen? Which tablet do you use? I forget. It doesn't have a name, which is... What are you doing, Huion? This horrible branding. You gotta give it a dumb name, like an Intuos or an Inspiron. This is just Huion some number. I think it's like 14404. I forget, and I need to lift the tablet to look underneath it to find out what the model number is. It's the big one. I think it's the biggest graphics tablet that Huion sells. It's not one of their common models, but they do sell it. Nope, it is not a canvas. It is just a screenless graphics tablet. It is not a monitor. one of those constant hand-eye coordination tests. My pleasure, Milk Money. Have you ever dealt with a hand injury? Not really. I've had hand and wrist pain emerge, but they've never, for me, they've never risen to the level where I can't draw or anything like that. But I've definitely had periods. I had a period like some of the people who've been streaming, or some of the people who've been catching the streams, like right at the beginning of this streaming surge that I'm doing, whatever that means. So a couple weeks ago or something, I was on the tail end of my having some pretty noticeable and annoying hand pain, but I just try not to let it get bad. When I feel that, I pull back and stuff like that. Switch up what I'm doing, draw on paper more. I've never had what I would consider to be a real serious hand injury where it makes me stop drawing completely for a period of time. And I think that's probably just from I've been drawing with great regularity since I was a kid, so I think I just have I think those tendons are pretty used to the abuse that I put them through. My wrist does sound like this, though. That can't be good. That bit about my wrist reminds me to take my fish oil today. I gotta take care of myself. Any advice for how to navigate the endless possibilities for different compositions when starting a new picture? It's opinions. You need to know your opinion. I know I sound like a broken record on this stuff, but it's like the most important thing about art. It's like the problem is that you're absolutely right. The possibilities are endless. That's why art is infinite and fun and beautiful. But yeah, you will be crippled so long as you don't have some kind of opinion about what the picture is actually supposed to achieve and communicate. Yeah, there's no compromise on that. It's like you need to refine your opinions. You need to feel confident, self-actualized. You need to be able to just say, that's what I think it should be, and that's that. And no one can steer me off course. You need to be able to do that for yourself as an artist, or else you're going to suffer from confusion eternally. Sometimes you gotta ask yourself, like, are you making the picture better or worse? I don't know Nikolai's work, unfortunately. I might know it if I saw it. I find a lot of the times when people mention an artist to me, I don't recognize their name, but if I see their work, I know who it is. Any tips on getting used to a screenless tablet? Not really. It's raw mileage as far as I can tell. I'm probably the wrong person to ask for that. I'm just very used to it because I've been using one since I was like 12 or 13, I think I was when I got my first one. So it's just second nature to me now. But that doesn't change the fact that, you know, I do draw better on paper, right? Even though I have basically as much mileage as you could ask for, it's clear to me that I draw better on paper. Just you never can quite compensate for the skill loss of having to guess where the line is going to go and things like that. Even if you become quite good at it, it's never quite as good as just seeing exactly where it's going to go. But that's all right with me because there's a lot of other things to tackle. So. Reminds you of Dante's Inferno. Perfect, because I did this one a while ago, but yeah, this is... Oh yeah, I called it The Throne of Minos. Yeah, this is based on Dante's Inferno, specifically. So I must have done something right. Steven, what would you say to someone who wants to join the art industry through self-teaching? Make friends, baby. If you are specifically you know you want to go into the industries or the quote-unquote amorphous industry and you're a self-teacher, your biggest obstacle is making friends. You should start going to conventions and offering to help people and just ingratiating yourself as early as possible. Your second biggest obstacle is that basically no art education online is reminding you to do project-based work. Do project-based work. Do project-based work. Those are your two biggest problems to address. Connections are huge in this industry. You need to start building them up now. These are very desirable jobs. People just give them to their friends. Oh my God, are you okay? You're screwed. You're not gonna be able to work out like that.
You guys are very annoying. Okay, bye.
You have to turn them against each other if you want them to leave you alone. Well, welcome, Moen. Moeen? Moine. Moine. Glad you got to catch a stream. Are you pumped to go to conventions again? I am, actually. That was never a thing for me before, and yeah, the pandemic kind of turned that around for me. I plan on attending next year's in-person Lightbox, so I am genuinely looking forward to that. It has been a long time since I've done anything like that. Steven, what do you think about going outside the comfort zone in the art process? Do you think it is a way to improve? Yeah, it's the way to improve. I don't think you should always do that. You should, I try to do one thing I'm bad at per new picture. That's usually what I try to do. Everything else I try to keep within the comfort zone. Need to be able to focus. Thanks, Tim. That's ridiculous. Thanks, Hoa. Thanks, it is what it is. Steven, you got any tips for drawing rocks? Not any reliable ones. It depends on what the rocks need to do in the composition. That's what makes it tricky. If I had to give the most generalized rock tip I could, I would say vary the shapes. Make sure it's not the same shapes over and over and over again. Do a big shape, do a medium shape, do a small shape. Make all the little cragglies noticeably different shapes. The biggest problem with rocks is, or the most common problem is that they just wind up looking like marshmallows or balloons because you just do the same shape on them over and over again. You gotta vary it. You gotta vary it. How do you know when to keep working on a piece and when is it time to scrap it and start over? When is it time to scrap it and start over? Well, I mean, anytime you have a real overall compositional idea that's better, it'd probably be valid to scrap it and start over, but I would not start over more than once. It's like at that point, you're probably procrastinating. You just don't want to finish the piece. But it is valid to do do-overs and things like that. You just got to be kind of disciplined about it. It's often better for a picture to do rehearsals and start it fresh each time, because pictures tend to look better the more direct and clean the surfaces and things like that. Not always. The chaos can really be a big part of some people's style, but it's usually got to be controlled chaos to come off very aesthetic and things like that. I wouldn't scrap pictures and start over unless you know you have a strong habit of actually finishing pictures. If you do not have a strong habit of actually finishing pictures, if you're not finishing like at least 10 a year, I wouldn't ever start over. You're just finding a reason not to make pictures, probably. Just get it done. Just make the thing. For everybody out there, nothing, not your skills, not your knowledge, nothing is hurting your career more than not frickin' making anything. You need to finish mediocre crap. Think of all of the mediocre stuff that's out in the world that people are getting paid for. Movies, television, comics, art. You probably hate a bunch of it. How often do you have the thought like, that bastard who makes mediocre crap, it's his career and I'm over here slaving away in that. Yeah, that's a you problem. You need to finish mediocre crap and get your career going and get known and practice making things. Get over yourself. I say to myself. Keep working on mediocre crap until it's not mediocre? Yep. Yeah, the most common problem that I encounter with students is that they are debilitated and paralyzed by encountering that their execution does not live up to their taste. What were you expecting? Of course it doesn't. You have excellent taste. That's why you're doing art. That's why you're interested in art. You've been consuming high-level art made by freaks for probably your whole life. Of course, your execution doesn't live up to your taste. To let that define what you're going to do and not do in your practice is madness. Like, that's just the way things go. That's not a problem. That's not something to recoil from. That's not something to be like, ooh, that's bad, I can't let that happen, and then never make anything. It's like, you know, that is why most people don't improve and don't ever make anything and never get anywhere with their art and always wonder what went wrong. It's like, you didn't make anything. You thought it mattered that you were bad. It doesn't. That's just you talking to yourself. You'll get better, but you need to make things. I know it's hard. I know it hurts, but that is the nature of this world, right? I've been doing this. I've been doing this since I was what? I've been trying to improve, actively focused on improvement since I was about 14 years old, right? I wasn't doodling in class. I used to screw off in my high school classes by copying George Bridgman behind my textbooks. Like, I was practicing, really studying, not doodling. I still cannot execute to my taste because my taste has been improving alongside my skills, right? I've only become more selective, more judicious, more refined in what I like. So you're never gonna catch up. You gotta make things. It's just the curse of the artist. Any strategies for dealing with the emotional pain of never being able to execute work to the standards of your own taste? Yep, I got about 100 videos about it sitting on my YouTube channel. I would just watch the back catalog. Especially the first 40-ish are specifically my answer to that question. You make it about your own internal joy as you work instead of obsessing about the results. And I have something like, you know, hundreds of hours of advice on how to achieve that. Would you go on the Draftsman podcast? No, I would never support that disgusting institution. Never, 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 never. Oh, wait, Draftsman podcast? Oh, I thought you said oppressive dictatorship. Would you go on an oppressive dictatorship? Yeah, I'd go on the Draftsman podcast. I know Stan and Marshall. I've talked with them a few times each. But it's their podcast, man. They got to do their own thing. Talk to the guests they want to talk to who are relevant for their topics. Their various topics. Do you mind if I ask why you're doing this digitally instead of traditional? Sorry for spam reposting. Really am curious. Digital is my most comfortable medium for color work. I don't have enough practice with any traditional medium to do this level of finish in color. If I redrew this in black and white in pencil, it would probably be better than this color version. I'm sure it would be better. But for color, I don't have, I have more mileage with digital for color than anything else. Could a 3D artist take a future workshop of yours? I'm sure. I have one artist in the current, I have one artist who most of their background is in 3D, taking it right now. But they're trying to work on their drawing. They're trying to draw traditional more. Some people who take the workshop don't even really wind up doing much drawing. You know, we're so focused on understanding how projects work and refining opinions, like figuring out why people are doing this and where they want to go. A lot of that stuff, I just don't, you know, if that doesn't naturally produce drawings, that's fine, right? There's a lot of aspects to drawing that aren't producing the drawing on the page. It's figuring out your career, why you're doing it, what you love about drawing. And because it's not like when I teach at an art college, I don't need to require drawings from people, right? When I teach at an art college, you know, students can bring me those big questions and I'm like, oh yeah, that should be your priority to figure out, but look, you got to give me some drawings or else I can't grade you at the end of the semester. So that's one of the reasons I love doing my workshops independent, is that I don't have to worry about that. I can just tell students straight up, like, no, just focus on what's most important. And it doesn't matter if no drawings come out. It's perfectly valid to just write for the whole month if you need to. I do not know Evan Amundsen. I don't believe I've ever had any contact with him. I don't think so. Oh, I gotta stretch. Feeling it. Were your parents supportive of you choosing art? Yep. They were always pretty hands-off. I just told them one day, this is what I want to do. Here's my plan. And they were like, all right. Sounds like you thought about it. That's kind, it is what it is. Don't let my certainty about art fool you. I'm just as confused about as anyone else about life in general. Hunt that internal joy, Martin. That is the great work. That is the great work. That's the real drawing. That's the real masterpiece. Why do you consider zooming in a bad digital habit? Oh man, that was a good subtle reminder. Thank you, Samuel. I'm messing up. It's just, you know, if you work traditional, you know you don't ever really zoom in, right? You just get your head closer to the piece, but you can always kind of see the whole piece, you know, unless you're working on something really, really big, you can always kind of see the whole piece. So you're always evaluating the whole piece, and you're always evaluating line weights and values based off of the whole piece, even if it's just subconsciously. But certainly if you're doing that consciously, it's much easier. Traditional, because yeah, the rest of the piece is always there in your peripheral. But when I'm zoomed in like this, I literally cannot see the rest of the piece at all, unless I look down here. So yeah, it produces bad habits for a lot of people. And most of the work on a painting really needs to be done pulled back this far. Like, this is where you design your shapes, this is where you design your gradients, this is where you design your transitions. Whenever you come in here, it's like you're doing stuff no one's gonna notice, no one cares. It's especially bad for line weight. If you draw digital, the most common problem with digital drawing is that you zoom in and out as you work, and you're like putting down thick lines because you're only looking at this area, so you're looking for a variety of line contrast to excite you about just this area, and then when you zoom out, they don't fit into the line weight scheme of the whole drawing at all, and it just winds up being random, ugly line weights everywhere. That's the most common problem with digital drawing proper, like just drawing. What size monitor do I have? I forget what this one is. This is an IMAX, whatever the IMAX have. What is this? 27-inch iMac. Hooray for Columbus Day, no school. Glad you could catch a stream. Thank you, Ophelia. That's great. Well, I'm happy to have you as a watcher, Ophelia. And I'm glad that the videos have helped. Honored to be of service. All right, it's 11:53. I'm gonna have to bail on this picture very soon, and I'm gonna have to get out of stream very soon. It's time to ship it. Sometimes you just gotta ship it. So I'm gonna hop off of here in a couple minutes, but if I can be useful to anybody in the last few minutes, let me know. If there are any last questions that you have in the chat or anything like that. See what I get to. Whoa, Deba Priya, I want to say? Deba Priya? With, ooh, I do not know what that currency is, but it's 100 of some currency. Thank you so much, Deba Priya. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. You just happened to randomly pop up in my recommended yesterday. Your work is insane. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for the support. I am humbled by your support. It really does mean a lot to me that you would support a random artist on the internet. But I'm happy to have inspired or given some good ideas or helped you in your art practice. It's always an honor to intersect with another artist's art practice. So thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Many thanks to everybody. Deba Priya, I don't know what you bought me yet, but because I don't know what you bought me yet, I'm just gonna think of you the next time I buy anything. The next few times I buy anything. If I buy a coffee, I'll be like, thanks, Deba Priya. And if I buy a house, I'll be like, thanks, Deba Priya. Any new videos planned? Any new tutorials planned? The big tutorial I'm working on right now is my Principles of Design course, but that's going to be a while. I'm trying to make it complete and comprehensive and my final say on the matter. So yeah, it's probably a year out or something like that, but that's my white whale. It's been my white whale for a long time, since before I started the YouTube. Actually, I've always wanted to make a complete statement about the principles of design. That's a big thing I'm working on. As for the YouTube videos planned, I have a few scripts sitting around, but I don't know, I'm testing out streaming more, just experimenting. Right now what I'm low on for, when it comes to YouTube videos, I'm always either low on like notes, like scripts, like maybe talk about this. Like I'm either low on that or I'm low on new drawing footage. And what I'm low on right now is new drawing footage because I've been streaming too much. It's all been getting shared already. So that's what's going on with me. That's the channel update. All right, let's see what we got from people as I say goodbye here. Whenever I ask how do the colors work in the painting, they tell you to focus on values. But even if the values are placed in the right place, some colors just don't seem to work. What's your thoughts? That is generally good advice, that you want to think about the values first. The problem between linking between value and color is that most people do not understand or do not have a way to understand in their work that value determines color, right? So If you want to learn more about that, investigate the idea of chroma point. A Google of chroma point will teach you a lot about this, but the basic idea is here's pure yellow, right? Pure yellow exists really bright. If I make it black and white, look how close to white that is, right? Yellow needs to be a very high value in order to feel yellow. People mess this up when they try to do yellow down here. And it's like, you only think that's yellow because you color picked it in the yellow area. It's not. Yellow stops existing in that value range. When it goes that dark, that's not yellow anymore. That's green, it's olive, it's a brown. Colors really only exist at their full power in particular value ranges. And there's things you can do to mess with that, right? Like if you paint less saturated, you can get a color to feel like itself throughout a wider value range. But you need to balance that throughout the whole picture. The whole picture has to be less saturated. So if the picture is mostly gray, you can make something just a little bit redder and it'll read really red. So that's the problem for most people. They don't understand chroma point and they don't understand that value determines color throughout the value range. I've been having trouble with folds. I apologize if this is a vague question, but I want to know the right approach in figuring them out and understanding how to place them. Huge question. Check out Barbara Bradley's How to Draw People / How to Portray the Clothed Figure. I'll put her name in the chat. Some kind person in the chat will probably link you to the book. But yeah, that's the best book I've ever read on drawing clothing. Because it's not just about folds, it's about the design concerns that you need to think about. Can you give some insight on how to avoid anxiety drawing? I feel like I want to draw the craziest masterpieces in 10 minutes. And yeah, that's just completely unrealistic expectations. For that particular kind of anxiety, get a physical stopwatch that sits on your desk. I have one. I'm looking at it right now. It lets me know right now that I've been working on this morning for 2 hours and it just turned to exactly 20 minutes, 2 hours and 20 minutes. You need a physical stopwatch. It will educate you on how insane your expectations are and how unrealistic they are. That's what did it for me. I focused on studying anatomy for a long time. Now that I focus on clothing, I find that I can't study it in quite the same way and I feel like I'm not progressing. Tips? Again, check out Barbara Bradley's book, How to Portray the Clothed Figure. Any sources to learn about those principles in the interim? I don't think so. The reason that it's been my white whale and the reason that I want to make it is that, as far as I can tell, there's really not many great resources on it, and the ones that are decent are too generalized. They're for like everybody. Graphic designers, product designers, package designers, people who do like user interface design and things like that. My course will be specifically for draftsmen and painters. So yeah, unfortunately, not great. If you need to go look for something, I would advise the people who do, the ones that are aimed at like user interface designers. Those are the better ones that I've seen, because that's like a very hot industry right now and a lot of people want to learn that stuff. So you could look those up. I don't have any specific ones to recommend, but you're gonna need to, easy now, you're gonna need to abstract those principles to drawing and painting. Winnie, quit it. Quiet. You're just a little dog. Your opinion doesn't matter. Nobody cares about your opinion. There's no politician advocating for the opinion that you're shouting right now. You gotta calm down. Is this a personal work or kind of a commission? Personal work. How do you fight the temptation to zoom into a drawing? I fight so hard against zooming out because it's hard to see what I'm doing. I have struggled with it enough that there were periods in the past where I undid the hotkey for zooming. So I turned off that Z in Photoshop, activates the magnifying glass and lets you zoom in and out. And then that was enough to break the cycle. Because then if I wanted to zoom, I had to consciously go click on the magnifying glass and use it. Wow, a lot of people talking about cloth in the questions. Yeah, Barbara Bradley's my general tip on that. Her book is much more cohesive and complete and broad ranging compared to what people usually recommend, which is like Bridgman's very abstract single chapter on clothing folds. And yeah, use reference. You can always use reference. My pleasure. My pleasure. No problem. Always happy to provide tips. Maybe some knowledge. Let it be political once in a while. Yeah, I guess you're right. All right, everybody. I'm going to head out. I got to run. Take care. Good luck with your drawing today. Thanks for being around. Thanks for your support. Thanks for chatting, everybody. Thanks for being everybody else's mutual drawing companion. If you're going to keep drawing today, I hope all your drawings go well. I hope all of your endeavors go well. And if you have enjoyed this, we grow through word of mouth here. Feel free to tell a friend. I refuse to buy airplane trail behind banners or billboards for my YouTube channel. I just refuse to do that, even though that's what all the other YouTubers do. So we only grow through word of mouth here. It would be greatly appreciated. All right, everybody. Bye-bye. What do you do if your mom is not supporting your art career? Just look her dead in the eyes and say, Mom, your opinion does not matter here. And then don't crack. The first person to talk after that sentence is the one who lost the argument. You remain silent. You walk away if you have to.